Would you rather have the original conferences from 15 to 20 years ago? So that would be the, Rutgers in the Big East, Nebraska back in the Big 12 with no playoff, or would you rather have the playoff era now, but there is no option to opt out of a bowl game? So you still get full bowl season, but you have the same playoff structure you do now. What would you choose, JP?
I assume the option that says the playoff era now and no opt-outs of bowl games means I'm also getting the craziness that's happening in the sport. Like I'm getting the people trying to power vacuum this thing. Jake,
what do you mean by
am I dealing with the Big Ten and SEC trying to do everything they're doing still?
Let's just go to based off last year. So it's 12-team playoff, whatever, except the straight seeding. We're gonna have your still automatic qualifiers are the top 5 conferences. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. Forget anything that we might even get into news-wise in a minute.
I think I'm going to take the playoff era.
Okay, I'm glad you
tough for me.
Spend some thought
because I really do like the way conferences were aligned, but the no playoff thing going back to 2 teams feels odd given this this age in college football, because I assume we're just bringing that format into now. Like it's the same craziness with the NIL and people moving around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So bringing that in and then only being 2 teams, I don't know. I feel like those two wouldn't mesh as well as let me just deal with it and everything that's in it. I keep the playoff era, but people are interested in the sport enough to play for their schools. There's still that school pride in a lot of ways rather than prep for an NFL draft or opting out of 2 games at the end of the year or whatever it may be, right?
That's a fair answer. I like the breakdown. I think if everybody who's not listening live right now on YouTube or maybe checking us out on X or maybe turned away from their camera, look at this wall behind me. If you give me an option to go back 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years, I'm taking it. So I'll go back to the old days. I'll take a BCS 1-2. Some teams get snubbed.
The success of Nebraska, you still have the roster and the team you have now. Just letting you know.
It's the same sport now.
I'll still go back to the Big 12. I'll take it. I'm going back to the Big 12. We piss pounded a 9-3 Big 12 team last year. So I'll go back 100%. I think GA would agree. We'll go back to the Big 12. Maybe compete for that spot with Arizona State. Definitely would have put a better showing up in Dallas. Who knows? But yeah, I'll take the first option. I like the BCS era and just I'm so in a bad mental headspace of where the sport is going, and especially with the conversations that we're going to break down in recent news this week, that the old sounds so good right now. So I'll take the first option. Jake?
I'm actually with JP. I would take just the regular 12-team playoff now, straight seeding, automatic qualifiers or conference champions, and to not have opt-outs in bowl games would be huge. And I could rephrase this by saying too, you can't transfer until after the bowl games as well. Maybe I should throw that in there for your G5 players who opt out because they're transferring, not just because
the one that I picked, does that include bowl opt-out still?
Yeah, so guys can still opt out and transfer and all that stuff. Because I think there's still some luster with bowl games when they're played at the highest level. Look at Michigan, Alabama last year and Colorado, BYU.
Can I add one? Illinois, South Carolina.
Yep, great example. 3 bowl games, even Miami, Iowa State was fun until Cam Ward opted out of the second half. Those games were awesome and the hype around them was fun. So there's if guys are still playing, people still care about bowl games. People want to still watch bowl games. And on top of that, we get a 12-team playoff, which I think is, we have our gripes about it, but that's just kind of the fan base in us that we want to try to make everything perfect in this sport. But I think there's still a lot of good things about it. And JP made a great point in his first point was we could never, the way things work now and how big conferences are and how loaded and how talented a lot of teams are and the parity that I think surrounds the top right now, it would be hard to just say you can pick 2 teams and be like, that's your national championship. No, I think the playoff era is built perfectly to figure out, who are those top 6 teams who could actually win a national title in a tournament style. So I stick with that answer.
All right. So 2 on that one. I almost want to retract my answer because of the bowl game opt-outs. That's a huge piece of that because one of our big selling points on this show is bowl games matter. We cover as many bowl games, even with the opt-outs throughout the offseason and postseason. But good God, those days were great. Like, it didn't matter if you were in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl or the Outback Bowl, wherever, the Champs Sports Bowl, like that was
Tex Slayer
your
Gator
Super
Bowl.
Yeah, great poll. There's a fantastic
Point
old bowl.
Steady
We
Bowl.
go all night on those. Yeah, remember the old Pacific Life Holiday Bowl back in the old Qualcomm Stadium? God, yes, we could go all night on those. But
go
that almost
Bowl.
My answer. Yeah, we go all night.
You from Parks to your defense for your answer. I think if you have your answer that you chose, I mean, that goes back to how valuable the regular season is. So I think we missed that nowadays. We've talked about that before. But if you went back to your old conferences and no playoff, the regular season would be magnified. Absolutely. Those games would all still matter. That Michigan-Ohio State outcome last year would have been a huge deal.
Yeah, that 7-4 versus 8-3 game like that. Those would be awesome. Like just playing to get to a specific bowl game or one step better that benefits your school, huge. But that still matters in the G5, which is why we love to talk about it. That's a good question of the day. Split answer, but a lot of possibilities there. Drop your thoughts in the comments on what you would do between those two. Jay Bird says he likes it now. He has more hopes for more teams and fans. That's a fair place to say, Jay Bird. A little Iowa State feelings in there. You got a little chance to compete. You almost were in last year, so I get it. But drop your answer in the comment. Let us know what you think on that college football would you rather.